So, Mark, did you see this new form of roulette that is storming the world, I guess? Guinea pig roulette. You spin it, decide where the pig is going to seek shelter. I kind of feel bad for this little animal.
I mean, it depends on how he's treated after job well done. Does he get all the best snacks and everything afterwards? I don't know. He's just kind of running around and getting a little exercise. I think it's okay. Why wasn't this in Vegas Vacation? This was like one of the random gambling aspects they didn't cover. I think it would have been amazing.
So, we've talked about how people cheat on roulette. How do you cheat on this game?
I don't know. Maybe you bring some like kibble and you throw it in like a couple numbers and have them track that down. They have to like watch and make sure nobody comes in with some food or something. I don't know.
So Disney is coming to Las Vegas. Not that Disney, not the Disney you're thinking of, but Mini Disney, Disni, is coming to Neonopolis. And they announced it this week. And they had already talked about Crash and Burn. We covered that on the show, which is going to have that outdoor exposed skydiver simulator, which is going to open this fall. But they're taking that and branding it along with 4 other rides, including 2 roller coasters that are going to be built on the roof of Neonopolis. Now, Neonopolis isn't going to own everything. They're going to have outside vendors who own each ride, but a little amusement park coming to downtown Las Vegas.
Unexpected. Not one thing I would think that would happen there. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of space to fit stuff in, so it'll be interesting how they do it. It looks like they're going to have like a shoot to the top type of ride, which doesn't take a lot of, footprint up, similar to what you saw on the Strat and everything. So this is like mini Strat, but down on the ground. Will it be as cool?
This concept seems to be the Polar Coaster, which was a company announced this many years ago, and they announced one in Orlando and a few other under construction that never got built. So I'm holding my breath a little bit on this, whether that big tower coaster ever gets built. But they've been struggling forever. I think this is a good thing. It's a good vibe for downtown, especially if you have adult rides. I think it works pretty well. A strange name, though, to pick, and it seems like they're trying to pick a fight with a big company for some reason, even if they did spell it differently.
Yeah, I mean, we both know how Disney is with naming and all that stuff. They come after people even if they're small little blogs and stuff like that. So I'm not sure that's the best idea. Maybe they'll change it by then. For their respect, they're not putting up the money if they're not owning any of the rides. So if somebody's willing to build it, I'd say, yeah, let's go for it. Using like a space that doesn't generate any money and you're able to turn it into something lucrative and then add a little bit of something to downtown, bring people into Neonopolis. I think it's a good idea if they can pull it off. I don't know that it will be long-term successful, but hey, if it's somebody else's money, I'm willing to give it a try.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Looking forward to see how they pull it off. Hopefully we'll get something. I'm still holding my breath on that big Polar Coaster, that tower coaster, but we will see. So big news coming out of Bellagio, one of their original restaurants and perhaps their most famous restaurant in the entire resort, Picasso, is closing. And 28 years this place has been there. Very famous, received 2 Michelin stars over the years. And what's really interesting is it is closing because Julian Serrano, the chef, is retiring. He does have a couple other restaurants in Vegas. He has Lago, which he's going to still kind of consult on. He has a restaurant at Aria, which he'll still be involved with. But he is in the restaurant apparently at Picasso 6 days a week, and he's going to take some time off. So it's very rare you see a celebrity chef who actually goes into the restaurant and cooks.
Yeah, that's what when I saw this, I'm like, I'm surprised he's not selling it or he doesn't have some young gung in the wings that will take over and stuff. And then you see that he actually does come in and works it every day, and he's in his 70s. I'm surprised he even lasted this long. Sounds like he wanted to quit last year, but was talked into doing one more year. So I don't think Bellagio wants him to go. It's such a well-respected name and beloved place, and I don't know that they're going to be able to replace it with something as good. That'll be interesting to see, but I'm surprised they're not trying to bring like the sous chef along or something and say, hey, why don't you take this over? Maybe we'll change the name a bit, but keep everything going as is. I don't know that he'd allow that, but sad to see, but good for him that he's able to get out of it and enjoy the final years of his life.
Yeah, you would have to think that Bellagio did everything they could to save this restaurant. It's not a place that they want to close, and it's important to him. It was important when he signed on with Steve Wynn in '98 that he wanted chefs that were actually in the kitchen and actually operating the restaurants. And he's done that, and I guess he doesn't want to turn it over to anybody else. So a big era changing, but it's a prime location for a new spot, and I'm sure whatever restaurant they have to replace it will be amazing as well.
Yeah, hopefully it's not Lago where they bring you out, cold butter for your lobster.
So this is a weird story, but I thought I would cover it because, we cover the wider Las Vegas area. Henderson is the city adjacent to Las Vegas for people who are not from here. And there's a historic area, Water Street, downtown Henderson. We've talked a little bit about it. There's some casinos there. It's really having a resurgence. And now the city of Henderson has put together a digital walking tour where you can see all the history. This is sort of the early settlement that they used to build Hoover Dam, and a very old historic area of town in downtown Henderson, and very different from Las Vegas's history. So if you're ever in town looking for something different to do, go do the walking tour, drink some beer, go eat at Juan's Flamin' Fajitas.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea to draw people in. I'm sure locals would love to see the history too, because a lot of people live in a place and don't really realize how it started or how it came, and seeing pictures of what it was like in the eras before is always cool. But this is something for like history buffs or just Vegas lovers in general that are in the area, and they're like, hey, maybe we'll go there one night, check it out, and this kind of adds a little something to it. I mean, I love getting the history of a place. That's why we both love Neon Museum so much, because you get to see that all lit up, and then you get to hear the stories about it. And this is kind of another thing in that same line.
And it's only about 20 minutes from Lake Las Vegas. So if you want to combine those two things and go see Lake Las Vegas, those are two things to do together. But it's cool that they did that. And speaking of history, Mark, we talked about the Neon Museum a little bit on the last show and their Flamingo Ball, the auction that they were having. But they did light up the Flamingo Ball this weekend, and we got a quick look at it. Looks beautiful and a great addition to the collection. Classic Vegas. That Flamingo Ball is so classic to Las Vegas.
Yeah, and I think, it's a perfect addition, and I'm glad they got it to light back up. And is this now, where does this fall? I know Moulin Rouge was your favorite sign in there. Is it still, or does Flamingo kind of take it over a little bit? Where does it rank for you now?
Moulin Rouge still number one. I mean, we have versions of this still currently available, right? At Flamingo, you still do have some neon there and some beauty there. So I feel like it is a great addition. It's a perfect sign for the Neon Museum, but Moulin Rouge still stands above the rest.
Yeah, Moulin Rouge, Stardust, Hard Rock, all very cool. The mini guitar before the big guitar that's coming.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. Lots of fun doing that. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So the Aces were back in the news. The WNBA Las Vegas Aces, back-to-back WNBA champions. And the LVCVA did something very strange this week. They gave them all a sponsorship of $100,000. So each player on the team, all 12 players, $100,000 sponsorship. But then they did a social media video where they basically said all the players had to do was play and support Las Vegas. I guess the contract actually said they have to make appearances and stuff, but his speech saying that it was tied to their basketball activity caused a problem, and now the WNBA is investigating this payment. A lot of drama with all of this.
The mob is back, man. The mob is back. Like in the college days where they were paying UNLV players, now we're paying the ladies players. So I think you planted this story or gave the idea just so you could bring it up and you have all people get angry in the comments again that we're talking about women's basketball. But I think it's cool in one respect. They deserve the money. They've won a couple championships, top of their sport type of thing. But also this is coming from the taxpayers' dollars. I don't know that's the best use of it, especially if it's not driving tourism to Vegas. If they were posting every week and it was basically an ad buy and you're getting a lot of social media interaction, then I could see it. But kind of feels like college NIL type setup where it's hey, we're just going to pay you because we like you. And maybe you do a couple things for us. And I don't know that's the best use of taxpayer money. We'll have to see how this all plays out. But I think somebody should step in and do something similar. But I just don't know that it was them.
What's interesting is I think Jacob's Life in Vegas, he shared a screenshot from some article saying that the LVCVA is paying 1,000 influencers. We know they sponsor the Las Vegas ballpark up in Summerlin. So it's not really unrelated to what they do. They really are about promoting tourism. And this team has become very big. The WNBA, we've talked about how women's basketball is having a resurgence. Not interested in having the debate between men and women's basketball, but $100,000 is not a crazy amount. Of course, the big controversy is there's a salary cap in the WNBA, and people see this as a way of skirting that, kind of bumping up their salaries. But I think they deserve it. They're representing the city. Like you said, they're champions, and $100,000 is not a crazy amount of money.
No, and I'd love to see the list of influencers that say that they're not getting paid, that are getting paid. That would be great. Let's maybe all that will come out when they get sued and they fire out all the reports to get the information out there. When you put it that way, $100,000 for an ad campaign, like I said, isn't bad. It's just the fact that they didn't really lay out what they're expected to do. But we'll have to see how that plays out, what the WNBA comes up with.
And LVCVA, call us. I mean, thousands of influencers, we're right here waiting for your phone call. No. So there's this mystery box at Harrah's that somebody sent you a picture of. Maybe you could describe it, and we don't know what the heck it is.
Yeah, thanks to Jay for sending this to me. He went to the Stones concert and said it was a great time, and noticed this on his walk back. And I don't know, man. Like maybe it's kiosks so people can check in quickly. That would be kind of nice, more of those. But I know it says the rewards thing, so maybe it's probably just going to be some type of board that has the new rewards. Maybe they're revamping some things, cutting off more people from being able to get free drinks. I don't know. What do you think it is?
No idea, and I'm hoping maybe somebody out there can tell us, or maybe eventually we'll figure out what it is. But always fun to get these random things, and it's just a reminder of how much Vegas is always changing, and there's little things everywhere. So you could visit today, go back 2 months later, and something will be completely different, or something new will be there. A shop will be different, a restaurant will be different. It's just constantly evolving and changing, and sometimes random boxes show up. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that's what keeps it alive and keeps people going back. If it was the same thing every time, I'm sure some people would love it, but the fact that you're getting something new each time kind of keeps it fresh and brings you back more than you might have otherwise.
So since we're contractually obligated to show every time there's a giant check-in line at a Vegas hotel, we also received a video of the Mirage check-in line, 2.5 hours apparently. We don't know why. I don't know if the systems were down or what, or if everybody's rushing to stay there before it closes. But yeah, another crazy Vegas check-in line, reminding you that it's not always fun staying in a hotel with 3,000 rooms.
Yeah, thanks to Bo for sending this to us. But like on a Wednesday at midnight, like this is crazy. There had to be some issues, but it's still frustrating that how often this happens, even just on when everything's running smoothly. They don't have enough people, they don't push enough to check in on the app or use kiosks and stuff like that. Like they got to figure this out. It's such a terrible start to your vacation when you get there and you're just sitting there frustrated after a long flight potentially and sitting there for a couple hours. Like nothing upsets me more.
Funny enough, last week when I was reading articles about Mirage, they talked about the check-in line when they were opening it, and with so many rooms, Steve Wynn came up with the fish tank as a design to kind of calm people as they're waiting in line so they wouldn't notice. But I don't think the fish tank works for 2.5 hours. That's a little bit much. But it is a cool little area. You can look at all the fishies swimming by.
Yeah, that's good for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, which is about how long you should have to wait.
So let's move to Atlantic City and Bally's and Wheel of Fortune. Somebody hit a Wheel of Fortune jackpot there with a 2x multiplier. So it should have been about $2.5 million. And this lady says that they basically are saying the machine malfunctioned. Now, Wheel of Fortune is a wide area progressive, meaning that it's run by IGT, not by Bally's. They house the machines and it's run by the parent company of the machines. This is very common with these wide area progressives. So Bally's is blaming IGT saying that the machine malfunctioned and the lady is gonna possibly sue. We've seen this stuff happen before, and usually the gambler is out of luck when there's a malfunction.
Yeah, it really stinks. Like, how excited are you when you see this? And then they're like, oh, you know what? And we don't know what happened. She claims that you won, paid out, did the whole thing. And then when she went to call attendant, it said tilt. They thought it was being messed with in that respect. So we don't know what the real story is, but it just stinks that this can even happen.
But I do see the side of the gaming companies. If there is a malfunction and it's all tracked within the software and by whatever laws there are, in that case, New Jersey, and I'm sure the authorities in New Jersey are going to investigate this if a lawsuit's filed, whatever's going on. But if there really is a malfunction and it's all documented, you feel terrible for the gambler, but should they also pay out $2.5 million when they're not supposed to? Casinos make a lot of money, so I think a lot of people out there probably would side with the gambler. I'd love to hear what everybody has to say about it. So some quick updates on the entertainment stuff. EDC happened this weekend. And we got an updated look at the price list, which was kind of nuts. I mean, a 6-pack of Bud Light, $140. You can get a 6-pack of White Claws, $150. Or $94,000 for the notorious EDC, which is 6 liters of Dom Brut and 6 liters of Dom Rosé. And that's $94,000. So bring your pocketbooks. People are spending crazy money at EDC.
Yeah, and there's a lot of young kids. I don't know where they're getting the money from. Like, I don't have the money to blow on that stuff. So definitely didn't have it in my 20s. So it's just crazy. It's just highway robbery. And I know on Twitter, people were saying like, well, this is for the club or whatever that's there. So somebody's like, well, what's the normal prices? And they're like, this is $23 a beer. Normally, if you're in the regular area, it's $18 a beer. That's still over $100 for a 6-pack. I expected it to be like half or something. Like $18 is still insane for a Bud Light. $100 and some dollars for a 6-pack that you can get for like $7-8 at the store, maybe less. It's just crazy.
It is, but the event seemed like it went off pretty well. People enjoyed themselves. You had the normal traffic, beautiful lights out at the Speedway. Another great event there.
Yeah, I saw that the traffic backup was insane. That's why you got to bring the chopper in, right?
Yeah, Maverick Helicopters doing that ride into EDC. It looks amazing every year when they do it, and that's certainly the best way to go. You avoid all the traffic, and it's not cheap, but a fun way. And Maverick Helicopter also put out some cool aerials, as they always do of EDC, so we'll show those and appreciate them for that. Over at the Sphere, Dead & Company also debuted this weekend with their new residency and some cool visuals that came out of that. Saw some of the visuals, loving it. I mean, I'm going to be honest, Mark, I love the visuals, every visual I've seen come out of that for all the different concerts, but this looks pretty cool and worthy of the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I think they did a really great job, and everybody seems to have had a really good time. And even like one of the videos, the guy said the guy in front of him was crying because it was so beautiful, and it's like shot of Earth and then space and all this stuff. As they look up, you know, because they're standing in the pit, they look up, it just like engulfs you and takes over, and it's such a cool looking experience. And I'm glad that they came in. We just need more bands and more things going on to take advantage of this, because it's so unique and so cool.
It's kind of fun now to see different versions of shows. Now that we've had a few bands come in there and to see their interpretation, some of the visuals they're putting up, how they're using the space. So it's kind of fun to see this evolve, and we'll see even more as they get more bands, but still not any announcements. I guess we should put a counter on the screen, 100 days since the last act was announced for the Sphere or whatever, but still hoping for that. I'm planning to see Dead & Company later in the summer, so I'm excited to see it after some of those videos came out.
Man, you're going to get some good dancing too, just like when we were at Sand Dollar. I saw some in the videos. People were really getting into it. It's such a cool environment.
Grateful Dead or Dead & Company fans, they are the best dancers. I think that's been settled now at this point, so looking forward to that. What I'm not looking forward to is our final story, and that's MGM. You know, I hate having to do these negative stories about Caesars and MGM, because when it comes to cutbacks, it seems like we could cover a lot of different stuff, but there is a rumor coming from Las Vegas locally that they are going to eliminate pit clerk positions and then make the pit managers do the pit clerk work. And pit clerks do a lot of the sort of administrative stuff, right?
Yeah, I think they kind of make everything go behind the scenes a little bit and make sure everything's processed quickly and smoothly. So it's just putting more work on less people, which means there's going to be backups. Maybe it takes longer to check in money and all that stuff. And just things won't run as smoothly. Maybe checks don't get refilled as quickly and all that type of stuff. So we saw this when we talked about the little tub crap tables, you know, how that eliminated 1 to 2 jobs, depending on how busy the table would have been. And this is just more of that type of thing. We've seen it with drink service, we're going to robot drink servers and less servers out there. And it's just like continually to cut back. It's a slap in the face when we see they're charging record rates, record prices, and making record profits. Like, it'd be one thing if it was, you know, 08, 09 and everybody's struggling, and it's understandable. But when you're doing this while you're still making record profits, it just seems like a double-edged sword.
It seems like casinos used to be run, you know, they knew people were going to gamble and they would make some profit and they wanted to provide an experience. And now they're not approaching it from that perspective. They're approaching it from, here's this product that we have, how can we maximize it? And this is just corporate America, and this is what they do. Sometimes you make cuts at the expense of the guest experience, and then many of those cuts over time affect things. So we'll see how this works out. Maybe they have a better system. Maybe there's some sort of automation on the back end where technology is helping out so it won't affect the customers in a bad way, just people losing their jobs, which still sucks. But yeah, this is modern Vegas. And whether it's adding another zero to the roulette or craps tubs tables or whatever, they're going to save money somehow.
Yeah, I think this is, you know, back in the day, it was independently owned, or there was more owners on the strip. And you saw that, like, you wanted people to come to your casino because you built it. You had the idea of it, you know, like the Wins of the world and stuff. Like, you wanted to put on this experience, where now it's run by corporations that don't have that same attachment to it. And they're just going to go whatever does best for the stock price, whatever does best for the stockholders, because that's all they work for, really. You know, they want to have a good enough experience that people come, but they also need to make as much money as possible to drive that price up. And that's all they're going for. And that's why you see these continue to happen. These cutbacks continue to happen.
So let's hope this is just a rumor. It is a rumor, so it has not been confirmed or announced. But based on everything we've seen over the last many years, not a surprise. So let us know what you think about that. Did you go to EDC or did you see Dead & Company? Let us know in the comments what you think about that. Do you know what that Harrah's box is? We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody. Please subscribe. Get us to 50K. Almost there.